The following podcast contains coarse language and adult themes. This week on the show, is that sand in your crack? You bet it is. We're talking the art house blockbuster from the filmmaker whose name no one can remember. It's Denis Villeneuve. It's Dune. I'm Reegs.
And I'm Eddie.
And this is the Film Addicts podcast. Hello friends, welcome back to the Film Addicts podcast. We're so happy to have you here. I'm here with Addy. How you doing, mate?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm absolutely dandy. I'm very excited to be here to talk about Dune, the release from last year. Man, what an epic undertaking this film is.
It really is. But before that, we have nerd news.
We do have some nerd news. Is everybody ready for nerd news? Because here comes the theme song. Enjoy! That's right, I love that theme song, it's so good. I'm very excited that I found that. We're back for nerd news, and first off we're going to do some trailer talk, which isn't, white trash people talking about trailers. It's, I like to have one that I can fit on the back of my truck. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about movie trailers. What has come out this week, Addy? Tell me.
So we had Thor Love and Thunder teaser trailer drop.
Yeah.
We had a Stranger Things trailer drop.
I didn't see that one. And
we had a new Lightyear trailer drop, which tells us a lot about the film.
I didn't see that one either. Tell me. I saw the Thor one, and it looks suitably Thorish, it looks glossy and Marvel-tastic. What was the? I'm not caught up on Stranger Things. What's the going ons there?
The last time I saw Stranger Things was like a year ago, so okay. I did already watch. So, we see different teams in different places come up, and so they're kids and then the new characters. The first one dropped in end or start of 2021. So, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of stuff. I don't think they should have done that because it shows quite a lot of things. Jesus, my phone's blowing up for some reason.
Oh, they're calling me. That's a Drake song, isn't it? I don't know. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, there's the biggest villain, I guess. And what they're doing with the season is that they're splitting into two parts. So we'll have, I'll just have to look the dates. Because I don't know why they're doing this. They did with Love, Death, Robots as well. They had the whole season, then they released it last year. And now they're going to release it in May.
The new, the part 3 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they're saying it's a new season, but they had already done all of that before.
Okay.
So it has 9 episodes, but part 1 releases on 27th of May, 2022.
Right. This is Stranger Things you're talking about?
This is Stranger Things,
yeah.
Correct.
Do you think they're breaking it up just so they can kind of mine more views out of it? Because I know that Netflix isn't doing very well at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, and also those young actors aren't young actors anymore now. I mean, isn't Millie Bobby Brown 27 years old or something?
She's not 27 years old.
No, that's me exaggerating. No, she just turned 21 or something, didn't she? She's she's
probably.
Yeah. I know that she was definitely, and the other guys they're all look like 40-year-old men now. So you can only get out of it's become much more YA, I feel, than it was before. It's much more of a, for the age that would appeal to the Hunger Games crowd or the Maze Runner crowd than it did, kids.
Yeah. Millie Bobby Brown turned 18, not 21.
She turned 18. Okay, so she's not an old hag. She's not an old sea-hagged wench like I thought she was. Jesus Christ, Regan. Get your head right. I don't know. I don't follow these kid stuff. Yeah, okay. Well, so yeah, they're splitting those up. That's smart, I guess. I honestly haven't been back since the end of season 2, so I'm not really sure what's up with that.
Wait, really? So
Yeah.
you don't know what happened in season 3?
No idea.
Wow, that's interesting. Definitely don't watch the trailer then.
No, I won't. No, that's why I've been avoiding it, because I always think to myself, I'll go, because I did really enjoy it. It was, the first season in particular was, you know, the Duffer Brothers know how to put them together, absolutely. But I just, I don't know. I don't know why I dropped off. I did the same thing with Series of Unfortunate Events. The series of that, which had what's the actor's name in it? Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris. I almost got you.
Was like last week. Those of you who remember listening, those of you who listened to episode 4 will recall Addy was Johnny on the spot when it came to people's names last week. So much so that who did you pull out of your hat? It was ridiculous.
It was John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly was like, what the fuck? The most random person of all time. Okay, cool. So that's, well, you know, I'm be interested to see, you know, I saw the images of that villain, of the new villain. So that'll be interesting to see sort of what transpires there, and being that it's the final season. What was the other trailer?
Well, just going back, it's not the final season though.
Isn't it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so season 5 is going to be the final one.
Okay.
And yeah, that's what they said. Like, the Duffer Brothers said, I think at the end of 2019, that season 5 is going to be the last we see of the story with these kids. Now, they do have plans for a spin-off that they haven't disclosed yet. But seeing where Netflix is going right now, we don't know what will happen.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that shortly. What was the other trailer that you were talking about? So it was Thor, which looked, I mean, it looks good. It's given us a taste of exactly what we were expecting, really. You know, with a cool sort of 70s, 80s rock song. Like, I'm interested to see, you know, just what that is post Endgame. I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's cool that his Chris Hemsworth's son is playing young Thor. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw that on your story, and I was like, I did not know that.
Looks cute as hell. Whatever you think about Chris Hemsworth, or his son for that matter, or the Thor franchise, or Marvel, you can't deny that's pretty fucking cute.
Absolutely. So you like the teaser trailer then?
Yeah.
Teaser trailer.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I'm getting into a place where, like, especially after just seeing, I was just saying to Addie before, ladies and gentlemen, which I keep fucking saying, good people of planet Earth. I just went and saw The Northman, Robert Eggers' new film, and it is a movie. It is something else, my friends. It is wonderful. I recommend everyone go out and see it. Not on a full stomach though, because there's some gore in there, but it's really, really good. I'm starting to see the seams in Marvel stuff where it's just they're defaulting, and you know, this might have something to do with the pandemic. They're defaulting to, you know, volumes and green screen and CG, even so much so that when they showed the wonderful reveal of Natalie Portman in the Thor outfit with Mjolnir, the resurrected Mjolnir, you can see it in pieces. The helmet looked like it was CG. I'm like, why can't you just put a helmet on it? So I was just a bit confused, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's a trailer, so who fucking knows? What did you reckon?
Yeah, well, it's a teaser trailer. We know that Christian Bale is playing Gore the God Butcher. Gore the God Butcher, how you pronounce it. It's just a teaser. I mean, it's been said that the Guardians are not going to be a huge part of that story.
That'll be first act only.
Yeah, that'll be like the first 15 minutes.
Yep.
But again, I can be completely wrong, but I was watching that and I was like, oh God. Thank God, like I don't run a YouTube channel where I react to this shit, because I hated it.
Oh, really? Okay, well, you've got a podcast, so fucking speak up. What didn't you like about it?
I don't know,
hair,
man.
isn't it? You think the hair's too much.
No, I love the hair. The hair's too all the hair. I love it. But going back to hair, I hate that they left out the braided beard that he has in Endgame, the final battle, because that looked awesome. He's a Norse god. He
Did
has to
look
have
much
braided
more,
hair.
yeah, much more godlike. After just seeing the Northmen, they all look more like that. I mean, apart from Alexander Skarsgård, because he's from space and doesn't have a human physique at all. It's incredible. The guy looks like a bear, and like most of them look like Thor did at the end of Endgame with that sick braid and the kind of the bigness and the axes and stuff. It's do you like that look? You dig that look in him?
I dig that look, man. And secondly, I don't know why, and I could be completely wrong, and I'm saying this again because I know we have MCU fans watching this or listening to this. It just the teaser felt like Taika Waititi trying hard to be like James Gunn. That's what I thought of it.
Okay.
Like in one sentence.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's a totally fair assessment. You got every right in the world to feel that way. And Taika Waititi is a very particular filmmaker. I think his Thor universe is interesting in that it is one of the only pockets of actual cartoon silliness that you have in the MCU, even over something like Ant-Man, which was very cartoonish. You know, in the fact that the guy grows big and small and stuff just based on that. Yeah. But he's carved out a very particular corner of this world for himself, and it is what it is. It's going to be his vision, which is commendable, because it's hard to make something in the vacuum of what Marvel Studios is be original in that sense. But I do understand where you're coming from. He might be trying to lean a little bit more. I mean, James Gunn, he's one of the godfathers of the MCU, really. The fact that I know he only made Guardians 1 and 2, but the fact that they worked, is, I don't know what crossroads devil he made a deal with. He can play guitar now as well, I guarantee it, because those movies, by all for most, I mean, I know they've got a talking tree and a talking raccoon in them, so that's already points, but just in general, they shouldn't have worked, and yet somehow they managed to. So, but that's a fair criticism, yeah.
Yeah, and the last one, we have a new trailer for Lightyear, which is the story of Buzz Lightyear.
And my understanding is it's the story of the actual Buzz Lightyear, who the toy was based on.
Yes, it's exactly how it works, but. Okay. It's weird because the director came out and said that the film that we are going to watch, which is coming out to us in the real world, is the same film that Andy watched and changed his life.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm just putting it all together. So the film, the Buzz Lightyear film, lives in the universe of Toy Story when Andy is a child.
Yes.
So that film should technically be set in the 90s. The new Buzz Lightyear film.
It should be, correct. That's also true. Yeah, never thought about that.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it might be set in the future. There's heaps of things set in the future, all the past movies, but yeah, it just stands to reason.
And it's a film made about the Buzz Lightyear that also exists in that universe.
Right.
And it's Chris Evans voicing Buzz Lightyear, which I love.
What a treasure.
But yeah, that trailer like got me excited. Like, I've never been so excited for an animated movie after, like, because it was the Mitchells versus the Machines that was supposed to come out in theaters, but then got on Netflix, and there was Onward. That was just, everybody hated Onward, but I love it because it's a story about two brothers, and I fucking love it. Yeah, I have a brother.
It's great. Yeah, I don't have a brother, and I really dug it too. I get that totally. I mean, especially the giving up the chance to speak to his father for the first time, giving that opportunity to his brother to speak to him again. I was Disney got me. I was crying like a hungry, angry baby. I'll tell you that much.
And it's the first time that we're getting a Pixar movie, like first time in a long time that we're getting a Pixar movie in theaters. Because Turning Red went straight to Disney Plus. It was Raya and the Last Dragon that went into Disney Plus straight. And Encanto also went straight to Disney Plus.
Did Encanto go straight to Disney Plus?
Yeah, I think so, because they weren't showing in theaters here.
Yeah, well, maybe not everywhere. I think it played in cinemas in Australia. I'm not 100% sure though, because I don't have children, so it's not really something I pay attention. I didn't even know it was school holidays until 2 days ago. So yeah, okay. Well, I'm interested. Like I like Chris Evans. I was watching Sunshine last night, the Danny Boyle film from like 2007 or something. I think that came out. He's like, that's a stacked cast. He's standing up against, some pretty impressive people: Cillian Murphy, Benedict Wong, Michelle Yeoh. Like, there's some amazing people in that film. Is it Michelle Yeoh? Hang on,
I think so.
She's in Crouching Tiger. I'm gonna look really foolish if I've got this wrong. And you know what? I'll keep it in the podcast too, because I want people to know that I'm not infallible. Yeah, so this is Chris Evans surrounded by Cillian Murphy, Rose Byrne, Cliff Curtis. I love Cliff Curtis, so good. Yeah, Michelle Yeoh, Benedict Wong, Mark Strong, Hiroki Sanada. Excuse me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. He was recently in, I think,
Mortal Kombat.
Was it Mortal Kombat? Was it? Yeah, and he was in another one, the Army of the Dead as well. He was really cool. Oh, yeah, it was Michelle Yeoh. Yeah, to stand up amongst that cast is pretty impressive. So well done, Chris. Cool. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited about that film. Shall we get into some nerd news headlines?
Let's go.
Wonderful. Did you want to talk about what The Rock's doing, or should I bring that up?
You do that, so I'm going to laugh as fuck.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Apparently, Dwayne The Rock Johnson is in talks to star in a sequel to Disney's live-action remake of Aladdin. I can't imagine why they're going with him as opposed to the original genie.
Yeah.
Weird, right? It's not a bad move. I mean, he looks genie-ish. Yeah, color him blue. I reckon it'll work. I reckon it'll absolutely work.
Yeah, that's the biggest selling point. He looks like the part.
Yeah, I just feel bad for The Rock, because it's like, when do you sleep, man? He gets up at 3 a.m. to work out, parents his children for about 45 minutes, eats 900 pancakes, and then goes and makes a movie, and then goes and sells tequila, and then fly. You know what I mean? It's just like, fuck, are you a bat? Like, what goes on? It's crazy, man. But there's a reason he is so successful, because he never stops working. In the next headline, Netflix has cancelled plans for a Bright sequel after the Oscars slap incident, to which the world collectively said, no shit. Of course they're going to do that. For those of you who haven't seen Bright, and I'm pretty sure it's all of you, it's basically just Alien Nation, but with fairies and stuff. And it wasn't even that particularly good. However, Joel Edgerton's in it, and he rules. But yeah, I'm not super surprised. It wasn't intentional that two of those stories were going to be like Will Smith adjacent, but it just happened that they both came out this week, and I'm like, yep. Either.
I just have one question though.
Yeah, sure.
Who wanted that sequel?
I know, who the fuck is that for? Obviously the writer, probably, but yeah, I don't know. I think, like I said, that collectively the world either will say no shit or what's Bright.
Exactly.
I'm just not too sure, but God bless. And this one actually Addie alerted me to Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. The film, the two films he's making for Netflix have begun filming this week. Pretty excited about this.
So, do you know what Rebel Moon is about?
No, would you want to tell me?
Yes, because
tell the
I
peoples?
feel like you'll be interested.
Yeah, I would.
So, do you know an era where Disney did not own Star Wars?
Yeah, I'm nearly 40. I remember that better than you do.
Well, I don't watch Star Wars, so I don't know shit.
Yeah, no,
I'm
I
just
remember
making
I
sure.
remember the merger when it happened with, well, not the merger. I remember when George Lucas sold the rights to the properties, the franchise to Disney, yeah, for $1 billion
Yeah,
or whatever the fuck it was.
no, it was $4 billion.
Jesus, how do you even spend $4 billion? Anybody out there who listens to us who has $4 billion, what do you buy? Like, do you buy planets?
Well,
I don't
that
understand.
was the thing, right?
Yeah.
Because George Lucas thought that the world was going to end in 2012. That's why he sold all his shit.
Is that a joke or is that true?
I'm serious. No, I don't know what's true and what's not. Okay,
Okay.
I'm sure.
Is that just you being a dick? That's good. That's a good joke. Yeah, he was a conspiracy theorist that he sold all his shit. Why would it matter then? Anyway, that's brilliant. Well done, Addy.
Yeah. Well, anyway, coming back to Zack Snyder.
Yeah, sure. Please tell me about Rebel Moon. I'm interested.
Yeah. So the reason why I bring up Star Wars is that before Star Wars was under Disney, Zack Snyder had this idea of going to. Well, he had the script that showed a more darker and a more mature world than we left in with the prequels, and was supposed to be a Star Wars saga or a 2-film event where everything goes to hell, and then you have new characters emerge from that you can fall in love with and continue the journey. But they already had plans of selling Star Wars to Disney, so they rejected Zack Snyder's approach. So the selling point for Rebel Moon is that it's a Star Wars story without any connection to Star Wars in it.
Probably.
So Netflix was like, "Fuck yeah, we need that."
Next
Because
up,
we get fucked everywhere else.
Bagsies. We'll take your faux Star Wars. We'll take your Aldi Star Wars. Do you have Aldis in Indonesia? Probably not.
Yeah.
Thailand, sorry.
Yeah.
Where are you
have
from?
all these. Yeah.
Where are you again? Botswana? I don't know. No, yes. No, you're in Thailand. Do they have Aldi in Thailand? Probably not.
The car?
No, it's Aldi, ALDI. It's a chain of supermarkets that I think they come from Germany, and it's like it's funny. It's set out like some sort of relief center after a flood or whatever, and it's just like boxes of stuff everywhere, and they've got like off-brand things that are cheaper than your normal stuff. And that's sort of what this Rebel Moon is, the Aldi version of Star Wars. And anybody who knows what Aldi is, or Lidl, the Lidl stores in the UK, will be pissing themselves laughing right now. Unfortunately, people who live in Indonesia, or Thailand for that matter, aren't laughing. I mean, Addy's laughing, but because I'm an idiot, not anything. Well, that sounds pretty cool. This is the quick the wrap-up of it that they've got on IMDb. The people of a galaxy... That's the weird sentence. The people of a galaxy sends a young... The people of the galaxy sends a young woman to seek out warriors from other planets to help them from the tyrannical armies that are terrorizing their peaceful colony. There's about 4 commas missing in that sentence, so I don't know who fucking wrote that. But yeah, peaceful colony's been attacked, and they go and get some people to help them. It sounds a little bit like... Seven Samurai, but stacked cast: Rupert Friend, Charlie Hunnam, Jenna Malone, Corey Stoll, Kerry Elwes, Jimon Honsu, and Zach at the helm. So bring it the fuck on. Ray Fisher's in it.
Yeah, Ray Fisher's in it, and Zach's the DP.
Yeah, awesome. Because shit, man, Army of Darkness is one of the best shot films of the last good little while, I'll tell you that much. Amazing. If you want to know how Zach shot Army of the Dead, check out the Stitch Up YouTube page and go to the Army of the Dead episode that I did with Hugo. And for the first, I think, 5 minutes, I talk about how he shot it, what he shot it on, the lenses he used, and how miraculous it is that it looks as good as it does, because it's just incredible. But yeah, Ray Fisher plays a character called Blood Axe. Blood Axe.
I want that name.
You want that name? I'll call you Blood Axe. Everybody, this is my co-host. We'll do the intro again. I'm Riggs.
And I'm Blood Axe.
And this is the Film Addicts podcast. We should do that next week and just see who's listening. Yeah, cool. I'm ready for Rebel Moon. That looks pretty damn wicked. Next up in the news, the final in the two-part of the end of the Fast and the Furious franchise, dubbed Fast X. I'm assuming it's a Roman numeral for 10. Has begun filming with both Jason Momoa and Brie Larson now in the cast, which is pretty cool. And this is my favorite story of the week. HBO Max are set to produce an Aqualad series, for some reason produced by Charlize Theron. I don't know why. Featuring Jackson Hyde from Young Justice and the current Aquaman comic book series. The character is an openly gay teen. He's also the son of Black Manta and an Atlantean, and he fucking rules. Such a good character. I'm very excited for that. And you nearly did a backflip out of your chair then. It's exciting.
Yeah, exciting times. Exciting times to be a comic fan, or just a fan of media in general.
Good time to be a nerd, and that's what we like to stress in the nerd news.
And so that was all the... Well, we have like 2 more.
Oh, have you got some? Because I'm done. I didn't realize you had any.
Yeah.
You got to tell me these things before we start recording. Otherwise, I look stupider. I look stupider. Stupider than normal. Go right ahead, please. I'm excited to hear what your news is.
So all that was fun news of the week, but we do have some sad news.
Oh, fuck.
We started the week with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Part 1 delayed till 2023.
Yeah. And
Part 2 delayed to 24, which is just sad.
It's a bummer, but look, this isn't Morbius. It's not being put off because there's a pandemic and they need to get it in cinemas, or they're retooling because they don't know what they've got. I think it's not about reshoots. I think they just want to make it as best as it possibly can be. And sometimes you need more time. And I totally understand that when you're in editing. Editing blows out, it really, really does. There's seldom a project I work on where that doesn't happen. So it is a bummer. And I know you were very sad. You sent me a message via Instagram that was all in capitals and had a bunch of crying emojis at the end.
I do that sometimes.
Yeah, I was gonna give you a call and be like, "Are you okay? Do you want to talk about it?" But yeah, so that's a bummer. But hopefully that means that they're going to be really good.
Yeah, and hopefully we all know what the reason is for the delay.
What? That's just
that they're bringing Toby and Andrew back again.
Hey, look, it'd be silly not to.
You've seen what it has, what it did.
Yeah, the possibilities, definitely, and what a great addition that would be, because you can't really. I doubt you'll get the same characters again. I don't think you'll get Noir Spider-Man or Spider-Pig or anything. I reckon they'll probably do different ones. They'll bring in different characters this time. But yeah, if they brought in Toby and Andrew,
they were supposed to be in the first one, but Sony said it was a bit too early for that. But then they did that 3 years after that?
3 years after, yeah. Now that was just Marvel and Disney fighting over the same toys, which is just stupid.
But hey, I adore that first film. I absolutely adore that first film, and it's just amazing how it's Spider-Man, but it's also so much more than that in that film. That you see the legacy of Spider-Man more than anything there.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's that's probably. It might not be my favorite. Actually, it probably is. Actually, but I'm not a huge. I don't like ranking things much, but it's probably the best Spider-Man film. Don't you think?
Yeah,
as good as No Way Home is, the story's.
Yeah, absolutely. And this leads us to another headline. It says, Netflix is slashing. Can you hear me?
Yes, I certainly can.
Okay.
I'm
Netflix.
quiet because I'm disgruntled about this.
You come on?
Yeah, I just know what you're about to say, and it's depressing. Netflix is slashing
Animation amid subscriber drop.
Yes.
Which means we have uncertainty. We have uncertain futures for projects like Arcane and
Fuck! I say fuck about it. Oh, man. That show rules. And sorry, I cut you off with my rant. Go, you go. So Arcane, that and what else?
So, well, everything that they have in animation right now.
Mm.
I know a lot of people don't know this or don't watch Netflix animated stuff. I'm a huge animation fan. And what Netflix has done in the animation field has changed how we look at animation in mainstream media as well.
Yep.
And so right now, for me, it's heartbreaking because we have something like Arcane that season 1 took 6 years to make. And season 2 is in development as of now. But yeah. And they have another animated show or anime show called The Dragon Prince, which is helmed and created by one of the head writers of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the show.
Okay.
And they had a 3-season where they have one story and that the future was uncertain. And in 2020, we had the fans went crazy because Netflix announced that they were not only were they gonna renew The Dragon Prince for season 4, but they were gonna renew it until season 7. That meant that they gave all the creative decisions to have time, all the creators to have time to do the right things and do the things that they wanted to. And it's really upsetting because, I mean, we have Love, Death, Robots in that category as well. And we don't know what's going to happen with that. It's just very, very upsetting.
Yeah. And it's, I don't want to feel too bad for Netflix because I'm pretty sure they're fine. But just in terms of, we're going to miss out on great stories, really good. So Death, Love and Robots, we talked about it briefly, I think last week or possibly the week before. It's
last week.
Anthology stories are great to begin with, but that just hits all my sweet spots, and it's really well made. It's really well crafted story-wise, and it's so interesting. And Arcane, like you said, I wouldn't have even bothered to look at that had you not said something, and now it's probably one of the top 5 greatest animated shows I've ever seen. And it's a shame that I know Netflix has a lot of competition nowadays, particularly with HBO Max, which has seen an uptake in subscribers in the last year, helped, I think, probably to the fact that they've got a lot of stuff going there that would go to cinemas during a pandemic, Dune being one of them, in fact. And there was some derision around that. We'll talk about that. Denis Villeneuve or Daniel Villeneuve or whatever his name is had a real problem with that. I actually do know how to say it. It's Denis Villeneuve. I'm just being silly.
Yeah.
Just in case he's listening. Denny, he's out there listening to random podcasts. So I think that's it's a very uphill battle with strength because Netflix are the progenitor of that. Netflix used to be a service, if I'm not mistaken, in the United States that would send you a motherfucking disc.
Yeah. Not even a disc, a VHS.
Was it?
Wow, VHS.
It's going back. So, it was kind of the beta test and proved to be a successful model for home entertainment, so much so that there's hundreds of different streaming services now. Amazon Prime Video, Stan, binge we've got here, which is in Australia, which is like the counterpart to HBO Max, because we don't get HBO Max here. There is the HBO Max in the States. Paramount's got their own network. Peacock have got their own network. There's ones that are specifically dedicated to genres like Shudder, which is just horror.
Yeah.
There's just, and all of the apps, you know, for the regular TV channels here, SBS On Demand, ABC, it's the same in the States. There's so much content. We're almost drowning in it, so much so that when things do peek through and become genre defining, like Arcane, they get lost in the waylay of all this other stuff. A lot of it, which is shit. You know, it is the definition of less is more in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And people are desperate to find that thing that hooks. And Arcane is definitely one of those things. I hope they don't... I hope they recognize that and make the smart decision to be like, you know what, we can only do one really big animated show. Let's put everything we can into that and get it done in 3 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And hey, I am fine with waiting another 5 or 6 years for season 2 of Arcane. I just love those characters so much that I don't want anything bad to happen to that show, if that makes sense.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to, sorry about the little fart noise then. No one farted. It was an audio glitch. I don't know if Addy can hear it on his end, but I heard it on mine. Have you seen, like, the popularity of that show is undeniable. Have you seen the cosplay and stuff?
I have. Dude, my whole wall is filled with that. I'm a weird person.
Yeah. So that's silly. It's outstanding. It makes me as a creative person feel uncreative. I feel like a fucking accountant when I look at some of the people who, not that accountants can't be creative, but just accountancy doesn't sound very creative. It's mostly about math and numbers and finality, you know, but these people are out there they're living their best lives, and goddamn, yeah. I love it. God bless them. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the nerd news, everybody. That's it. That's it for the day. Thanks for depressing us at the end there, Addy. Jesus. I was starting out with some nice...
We do have one thing that you sent me, which leads us into Dune.
Okay, you go.
So you sent me this, Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve. Neuve. His name's not Neuve.
That's just one thing repeated 3 times, man.
I know. He's like Butros Gali. Sorry, go ahead. You were saying. I sent you something. What did I send you?
Yeah, you sent this headline saying, Denis Villeneuve will direct the first or the pilot for the Dune prequel series called Sisterhood of Dune.
Yeah. About the Bene Gesserit, I think it is. The
Bene Gesserit.
Yeah. Is it not Jesuit? See, this is going to happen the whole show. I'm going to start saying things right, like and the warriors that Duncan Idaho fights are the Sardaukars.
My God, yeah. Maybe.
Did I get it right?
Yes.
Nerd point for Riggs. Yay. Cool. Yeah. Well, let's go straight into that then. That's pretty baller. That's a HBO Max thing as well, isn't it? Yeah. Cool.
It has to be HBO Max. I don't think they're going to go anywhere else.
Yeah, that's probably a stupid question then. I'm gonna cut that out. No, I'm all about transparency. You know that, people. All about transparency and pineapple. Listen to our question and answers episode for the pineapple chat.
Yes.
Love pineapple. Well, yeah, let's get into it. Dune. Very famous text written by Addy. Help me out.
Frank Herbert.
Frank Herbert, thank you so much. Sorry, I had it up. I knew it was Herbert, but I didn't know his first name. Well, I was going to say Bronson or something. Frank Herbert, you know, I mean, this is, if you watch this movie, I think somebody back in the day, you know, when it was just a book series, may have had a pretty good class action lawsuit against George Lucas. There is Star Wars stuff all up and down this. It's simple as, you know, let's talk about the Bene Gesserit, Jesuit yourself. That's the Force. You know, that's what do they do? The Jedi mind trick.
Is the voice the Force? Isn't that the thing?
Yeah,
when you use the voice.
Yeah, you use the voice, and you know it's a pitch that you get, and a guttural sound that can, you know, cloud people's minds and make them do what you want. That's the Jedi mind trick. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and I'm sure people are shouting at us in the comments about Star Wars did this first and that first, and yeah, okay, that's cool, but there's definitely some DNA there, and it's not just about science fiction. It's about, you know, George Lucas read the Dune series.
He did.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, so anyone who's shouting in the comments, no, Dune came first. It did everything first.
Yeah, it absolutely did.
It's in the science fiction genre, it was Dune that had this world where you could go and live in, and you could actually feel it when you read the book. So yeah.
And it's also it is a very contained story in the same way that Star Wars is. Star Wars is set in a universe that's very large, but we only see a few little planets. Dune, we see very few planets at all. We're mostly on Arrakis the entire time, which is cool. But it's, you know, there's definitely some like specifics around the story that can't be ignored. But you know, if you look at the 1984 version directed by David Lynch, which I actually really like, it's fucking bananas. It's batshit crazy, and it tries to cram all of this first book. See, Denis Villeneuve had the smarts enough to know, and as a fan of the text, to be like, this is not two films. This is not one film, sorry. This is two films, and we need to figure out the best way to do that. So much so that he had the creative stones, the story balls to say, this is going to end like it's a part one, and I don't even know if I'm going to get to do part two yet. Like, can you imagine having the story balls?
It shakes my world that we live in. That, dude, like, people say that they miss old school Hollywood. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Probably not. No.
So there was a small indie Kiwi filmmaker in the late 90s that had this fucking crazy idea of taking literature by J.R.R. Tolkien and making it into two movies called The Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
That small indie Kiwi filmmaker is now Peter Jackson, and he's made 3 Lord of the Rings films.
Well, technically, he's made 6.
We're talking about Lord of the Rings. I'm not going into the whole thing.
Don't talk about them hobbits. Yeah, fucking nobody talks about them hobbits.
No, the hobbits are fine, but yeah, if we ever do an episode on that, we'll get into that.
I think at some point we'll have to do one on the OG LOTR, like the 3 pictures, because I rewatched them last year, and yeah, I saw that you were wearing the t-shirt. Yeah, son. And they rule. They're pretty great. They're just I'm sorry, I know we're off track at Dune again, but whatever, we go all over the place. There's no narrative at all. They're war movies.
They absolutely are. And he wrote them in the trenches.
Exactly. And I haven't seen that Tolkien picture with you know, Beast playing J.R. Tolkien.
It's something that if you're a fan of the books, you like. Yep. If you're a fan of the movies, they really should make a Peter Jackson movie. Like he's earned that, at least that film. Well, I mean, they're making one's about to come out, a series about the making of The Godfather, and there's another one as well where Oscar Isaacs is playing Francis Ford Coppola, and Jake Gyllenhaal is playing is it Evan P? No, whoever the producer on The Godfather was, and about their kind of struggle to get that film made. So, you know, there's not out of the realm of possibility that in 10 or 15 years, someone will be like, hey, let's do a story about how hard it was for Peter Jackson to get those movies made. Because I don't know if you've watched the behind the scenes stuff from those films, but he looks exhausted a lot of the time. Dude, no, here's the thing. He looks exhausted he looks in. I'm getting excited. Sorry.
That's okay, dude. Please.
He looks exhausted in the behind the scenes of The Hobbit. It's where he has the long hair and just drenched eyes and all over. Yeah, there's a book called Everything You Can Imagine: The Making of Middle Earth. It's a fantastic book, and I've read it. It's about Peter Jackson's journey into making these films, and it just goes to show how big of a risk it was. And he always had a plan of 2 movies because he knew nobody was gonna like. It was such a baller move, and then they go to like different production houses, and it was. I hate to say this, but it was Harvey Weinstein who saved or made this project happen, because it was him who was like, no, we're gonna do 3 movies, and this is how we're gonna do, and Peter Jackson's gonna do what he wants. And I just hate when people do a lot of bad things that just take down what the whole project means. Because
yeah, well, I mean, I don't think everybody knows that Harvey Weinstein is a monster, and it's been talked to death, so we won't talk about it. But we're well aware of that fact. Doesn't change the fact that Peter Jackson was able to make his pictures because that guy was a shrewd businessman and a fucking hardcore producer. He was all he cared about was money, and I'm sure he made plenty. But you know, Peter Jackson was able to achieve what he needed to achieve. So
yeah, and those first 3 Lord of the Rings films are called the most expensive low budget films Hollywood has ever done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's such a weird... Fuck, we're miles away from Dune, but that's okay. It's such a huge risk. I mean, the guy was... He came off the back of, you know, making funny exploitation horror pictures in New Zealand, then made a film called Heavenly Creatures with Kate Winslet, which is really good, and which is based on a true story. And then, you know, made The Frighteners, which is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. So good. I got the Blu-ray like 2 years ago. Oh, so beautiful. And then he's just like, hey, I want to do this thing, and somehow worked really, really hard to get it to a place where he could actually do that. And then he write his own ticket after that.
And we live in a world that happened in the late 90s. And I don't know about you, but when I watched Dune, do you pronounce it Dune or Dune? How do you pronounce it?
Dune.
Okay. So
it doesn't matter.
When
though.
I watched...
It's all going to come out. Whatever. Dune, whatever. Denis Villeneuve. Yeah. Christ. Yeah, sorry, you were saying, so when you saw that for the first time, you had, it gave you LOTR vibes?
Oh, no, never. No, nothing ever gives me that.
Yeah.
And I love that. But when I watched Dune Part 1, there was no certainty of Part 2. And it's so weird that we live in a world where Denis Villeneuve as a director has given us so many masterpieces year after year. And they had no plans of continuing his work until they knew that was going to make money. Which is, yeah, I get that. But also, Jesus Christ, you look at that film. Like, how on earth do you decide not to give that a sequel?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he probably knew. I think he was like, you know what, I've got this shit on lock. But the thing that stepped him up, and let's just say as well, Denis Villeneuve is probably one of the greatest filmmakers currently working. He is just a remarkable storyteller. And you only have to look at his credentials, his English language credentials, as proof of that. Starting with Prisoners in 2013. Enemy was actually a really good film too. Sicario, Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, which people kind of lament because, I mean, it was never going to be what people wanted to be, but that movie is fucking great. And then Dune, like, he is tested, and it's a shame that the corporate nature of the way that movies are sold, and then also the pandemic and how the home cinema experience became what it was, that they released it, on streaming services day and date with cinema, and he was perturbed because he didn't make it for the cinema. And I know that for a fact because I watched it at my place last night. 2 nights ago. I have a huge TV and a really baller sound system because it's my industry, and it didn't even come close to the cinema experience. And you said it to me, actually. You said you believed it would have made $1 billion if it had gone just to cinema.
Yes. In a different world, in the multiverse that we live in, there's a universe where Dune released and there was no pandemic, which we could use some of that world right now.
Yeah.
With no pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, it's a world that had just Dune playing in IMAX for like 6 months straight, and it would have made $1 billion. I'm pretty sure.
I can't imagine why it wouldn't have. And I think people kind of have a weird relationship with this film that they either don't understand it because it's dense. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of kind of politics and palace intrigue, and you've got the Bene Gesserit, and then the training, the one basically. He's the Timothy Chalamet's character is, is that how you pronounce it? Is it Chamalamalan? Chalamet. Chamaloo. He's Timothy Chimpanzee. He is an amazing young actor, but he's being trained, and then while that's going on, you've also got the Harkonnens coming in. Like, we're not going to go through what the story is because if you're listening to this, you've seen the fucking picture. So you've got that going on. They've had their rights to the spice mining taken away by the Emperor, who you never see. The unseen Emperor. It's been given to House Atreides. They've come down. They're all very beautiful. I mean, come on, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaacs, Jason Momoa, and Josh fucking Brolin. Are you kidding me? That's a sex party. That's just, oh my God, what a bunch of beautiful people. You've got these people coming down, and he says it. Oscar Isaac's character, is it Leto?
Yeah, Leto or Leto. Yeah, Leto Atreides.
I'm not sure if it's a T.
I pronounce it Leto.
Yeah, I did too. It's a D. Is it Leto? He comes down, and he's like, they have the scene where they go after the spice harvester and the sandworm coming. How do you pronounce the sandworm's name?
Oh, I know this. I know this.
It's their god. It's like,
it's Shai-Hulud.
Shai-Hulud comes along to have a snack, a little Shai-Hulud midnight, and comes to eat this thing. And when they get back from rescuing these people, and it's sort of where Paul Atreides starts to kind of feel that his dreams might be reality also. When they get back, he says to one of the Fremen who helped them get suited up, he's like, we were positioned to fail in this. Yeah. So he's basically dealing with that shit. And all the while, this story about a prophet is, coming, a Jesus-like Messiah character, like where she's strapping him into the Fremen suit, and she's like, "Why did you do your boots like that?" And he said, "It seemed like the way to do it." And then in her language, she says, "And he will know your ways as if born to them." And I was like, "Fucking yeah,
yeah, dude!"
Oh man, it got me. It really got me. I enjoyed it in the cinema, but I must tell you. Oh, God, I don't know if I should say this on mic, but I'm going to anyway. I was a little bit distracted for the first half of this picture because there were 2 teenagers behind me in the cinema giving up some business. There was some stuff going on there that was distracting, to say the least. And they weren't just making out, ladies and gentlemen, and all friends of all sorts. They were getting busy. They were on third base at least. And I had to turn around and go, "Guys, I'm sorry, I can fucking hear everything that's going on." Just just it was bad. It was bad, man. Oh no, I've broken Eddie. I'm sorry, mate. But it makes it hard to watch Dune. When people are behind you, committing things that are, normally illegal in public. Anyway, I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. But yeah, I felt like I appreciated it more last night when there wasn't gratuitous sex acts going on behind me. And God bless him. But yeah, I felt Paul's story more. I don't really relate to him. I normally, if anyone, I relate to fucking Gurney, the Josh Brolin character. That bit where he's like, "You've never seen Harkonnens? They're brutal." Like the guttural brutal in his voice, man, is just Josh, man. He gets me. But I kind of relate to him being kind of the ravaged from this war and all about protecting his people. But yeah, I definitely I felt Paul's journey more this time round.
Awesome. Yeah.
Sorry about that story, but it's in there now. If those people are listening, I hope you had a really good time. It was a weird pick. It was a weird movie. Like, Dune's a really good film, and there's some great people in it, but that's a challenging wank. Like, there's not a lot of real sexy stuff going on in that thing, unless you're into sand, which I guess some people might be. But it was a weird pick to get busy with.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of the story and stuff, like I said, we're not going to go through it all. Where do you kind of find your sweet spots, Addy? Because I know what I like, enjoy character moments and stuff. Like, who are you following in your head when you watch that film?
Bagpipes.
Say one more time.
Bagpipes.
Fuck you and your bagpipes, Addy. Come on, mate. They're off tune.
No.
Everybody with bagpipes.
So, yeah, I just want to give a bit of background. Do you have a previous with the book as well?
No, I've never read the book. I only saw the David Lynch film, and it was last year I watched that for the first time. So, no previous at all. What about you?
So, yeah, I've been a very big Denis Villeneuve fan because I watched Prisoners and I was like, holy shit.
Right.
Right. That ending as well. But, yeah.
Sorry, you just reminded me. I'm going to have to rewatch Prisoners.
But yeah, I heard that he was doing, well, it's a very interesting thing as conception, because you hear headlines of Denis Villeneuve is going to direct a book that he fell in love with and has never let go of that love for the book. And so in sci-fi literature, there are two books that kind of started it all, which was it was John Carter and the Princess of Mars and Dune by Frank Herbert. And John Carter and the Princess of Mars is like a century-old book right now. Like, it's more than 100 years old. Which has another adaptation to film, which is we'll not talk about that. But yeah, and
do you not like it, or we've talked about this before?
Yeah, I love it, but it's not the place. It's not the place for that right now.
We'll talk about it another time. I think that's a good movie too. But yeah.
And so Dune was the first time that people reading books could actually understand, or not understand, but kind of get the feel of what the world was. Like for the first time, it was something set in space and with this politics in place and all that. And when you take that and you put it into film, it's like, oh shit, it's Star Wars. Oh shit, it's like something like the Lord of the Rings but in Star Wars. But it's the one that did it first. And you see that transformation. And I know a lot of people have problem with this film's non-existent third act, which is a very weird criticism to go into.
I don't think that's true at all, but I understand what you're saying, that people have a problem with that.
Yeah, but even Christopher Nolan came out and said that they were on the director's roundtable or something, where he met Denis Villeneuve, and it was right after he got the news that he could direct Dune, and Christopher Nolan said that he saw the excitement in his eyes, and it's a filmmaker trying his best to remake or to show his appreciation for a story that he fell in love with, and I'm all for that. Because it's all about inspiration, man. And once you get that, it's just you're on a whole another level. And it is a very dense film. I started reading because I wanted to get ahead of the source material. I started reading like the first 20 pages of the book. And I was like, this is amazing, but I'm going to stop because I want to watch it on film.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And yeah, and everything I knew about the source material and everything was thrown out into like the first 5 minutes. I had no idea what the fuck was going to go on.
Yeah.
And I love it for that reason, because you're in this world where you're like, is it going to get a sequel? They don't know yet, but is Paul going to die at the end? Because the whole movie, he's probably going to die, right? That's the visions that you get.
They're leaning that way, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry for that tangent. I had no intention of going to.
Hey man, I was talking about people getting fingered before. Like, it's totally fine. Look, let's not put a veil on it. There's a warning at the beginning of this podcast. We talk about adult themes sometimes, and you know it's not a bad thing. It's people enjoying each other. It's totally fine. But yeah, tangent all you want is my point. I think like what you said, you know, there's something that he was in love with. It is a love letter to the material, so much so that he allows it to have the time. I mean, the first act of that is very slow and very meditative. The most action you get is him training with Gurney, or Garney. Is it Gurney or Garney?
Gurney.
And with the shit shields, we were talking about this last night when I messaged you about it. What's going on with these shields? They're crap. They are crap. They'd be better off wearing Glad Wrap.
I don't know what that is.
Ladies and gentlemen out there who don't know what Glad Wrap is, I believe in the States it's called Cling Wrap. It's just this plastic stuff on a roll that you pull out and stretch over the top of food.
Okay. I call it a plastic sheet.
You just call it a plastic sheet? That's boring. I call it a food condom.
Okay.
Your face was great. Oh, that was worth it. That was worth every second. Yeah. So, explain to me because you were going to say I have an idea or a theory around why the shields aren't 100% effective. Because I mean, there's a point where Duncan Idaho, baller name by the way, Jason Momoa, who should just be in all movies, is taking out these dudes. Like he's got this one sword and then he sees how many guys there are and he pulls out a second one and you're like, yeah, Momoa. And he takes out these dudes in a hallway and stuff. And he's just cutting through these, you know, he's obviously trained to, when he gets to the hit, go slow.
Pulling and then going slow, yeah.
Yeah.
We did the same thing.
Yeah, I don't. We just did the actions, ladies and gentlemen. It was pretty cool. Ladies and gentlemen, God damn it. I will get this out of me by the time we get to episode 100.
Fine. It's fine. Right?
Everybody knows what I mean. Yeah, so what is your theory behind why they're so ineffective in close quarters?
Well, the thing is, the shields, as far as I can understand, were created so that you don't get shot at by a bullet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if a bullet comes to you wearing that shield, it'll just fall off.
So it's more for like long range kind of weaponry.
Right. So that's why they don't have guns there. In the whole universe, there are no guns because they'll be useless. But yeah. So the fight that you're talking about is the betrayal that happens, correct?
Yeah,
at night.
The doctor kills
Dr. Yue.
Dr. Yue, yeah, kills Leto and gives him the. Does he not?
No, he just paralyzes him and he fixes him with
tooth. That's bad enough.
It's not.
And he gives him.
Leto kills himself.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the and when he tries to kill the Baron, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, so Yue paralyzes him and goes, here's this tooth. So yeah, that's the betrayal. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the betrayal scene, the shields are down. So if you see that scene with the context of the shields are down, because you don't really understand until they say it after the betrayal that the shields were down. when you see that scene and you see when you see the ships blow up,
Yeah.
the shield is there. It's just there, right? So what happens is they drop it and it goes slow until it pierces the shield and then it blasts. And when it blasts, it implodes. It implodes because there's a shield there, and then it explodes because the shields are down. So they can't do anything there.
Okay, I get it. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're here with science. Science by Addy. Scientist Addy. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, that's a little bit better at explanation. I still think they're not very good.
Oh yeah, they're not.
A little bit better than cling wrap, but
yeah, everyone there is just lazy because all you can do is you wear a proper fucking armor and then put a shield on. So even if it cuts through the shield, it can't cut through your armor because everyone's just fucking lazy there, I guess.
Yeah, I get. Well, you get used to it, don't you? You get lulled into a false security. My funny glowy shield thing, and that's the other thing as well. They indicate the loss of a fight without blood, which is interesting. Kind of gives you a little bit more latitude with the violence you're working with. Yeah, but it's also excuse me. Going to that particular fight where that happens, and then the sky opens up and there's fucking Harkonnens everywhere, and they're brutal, and and it's all hell breaks loose basically. Up until that point, the only real big beat of action, like I said, is where Paul is training with Gurney, and then the sandworm attack.
Yeah.
And then after that, the movie's on its heels, the entire rest of the shit. Like, it is go, go, go. And I know there was some criticism around the Fremen not being featured much. Zendaya has very little screen time. So does Javier Bardem. But what they have to do in this is...
It's exponentially amazing.
Yeah, and you need it so much because otherwise you need to understand who the Fremen are. And that first meeting where they're spitting on the table, and he says, "We want you out of our places. This is a holy place to us." So much so that you understand that the what's Shai Hulud is the
Hulud.
Yeah, is a god to them. And then at the end of it, like, how can you say that movie is anticlimactic when it ends with a motherfucker riding the sandworm? Like,
oh god,
I'm ready.
dude.
I'm ready for part 2, man. I'm so excited. But I think that the Fremen are such an interesting group of characters. And I was talking to a friend about this the other day and saying how this movie talks about things, and talked about in the book as well, that are still currently issues. We're talking about the slaughter of an indigenous race. We're talking about sovereign states invading others for their minerals and their rights. You could have spice just as easily be oil, everybody. You've got these warring factions, you've got betrayals, you've got all this stuff going on. Meanwhile, a group of indigenous people are just fighting for what they have left. These problems, these battles continue to go on throughout human history and still permeate within current cultures. And we're recording this on the 25th of April, 2002. There's plenty of that shit going on right now.
22. You went 20 years back.
What did I do? Did I say 2020? Did I say
2002?
Did I? It's okay. Wait, hang on. It's 2022 in April. But my point is, so did you get frightened that we'd gone back in time?
I was like, I wasn't born yet, dude.
You weren't born in 2002? Holy shit. Wow, that's okay. Well, I am a senior citizen. But anyway, I'm just saying there's the themes that it's dealing with on an emotional level are very poignant. Sense of self, finding your own strength, and then using that to hopefully do good. Divorcing yourself from the past and from your parents' ideals of who you are, even though Queen Rebecca, she's actually not a queen, she's a concubine, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a witch.
Yeah, she's a witch. Yeah, so she's one of the Bene Gesserit, and she, Lady Jessica, and her son Paul, like they give her shit. They're like, you were supposed to have a daughter so that she could be one of our group. He's now got to learn how to do this. You see him being tested. That amazing scene where he's got his hand in the box. He just stares that woman down. It's so much power for such a young man. That Timothée Chalamet, he's quite an incredible actor. But then that becomes, his story is about moving away from what both his mother, his father, the
Bene Gesserit.
The Bene Gesserit and the government, the people believe that he should be. Even Duncan Idaho is like, oh, fucking
my Lord Duke.
Yeah, you don't need to learn how to fight. Like, it's totally cool, whatever. And then you see him have the vision of himself just taking out all those homies in the armor. Yeah, it's about self-actualization. It's about discovering within you what is most important and then using your strength to actualize, just in terms of personal themes, character themes. And then the bigger theme is what we were talking about. The worldliness of it is incredibly poignant. Sorry, I feel like I ranted then for a second.
No, you did not. But yeah, that's absolutely right. And it's weird how a world so far from reality can be such a huge reflection of our reality. Where the Furman, I forget the name, is the Furman that's on the Judge Furman or someone who's with House Atreides at all times, who goes, and she says that everyone on Arrakis, which is Dune, hated the sand, or at least the Furman, when they were in all of the population, hated the sand. So there were experiments by scientists, Furman, to, by just a miracle, make all of the sand on the planet water. And as soon as they discovered spice, they said, fuck all this, we'll get high. And it's
not a bad move. It sucks here. Let's get high. There's sand everywhere. It's in all my cracks. I can't get it out. Once it's in there, you can't get it out.
You can if you shower. But again, if you shower on Dune, you have to rub your ass with sand.
In what? Yeah, what are you showering in? You can't spit. That's not how it works. I feel bad for those palm trees. That's an interesting thing as well. Like the palm trees, the sacred palm trees. And then after the fight, they get cut to a shot of them burning. And you're like, oh, okay, I can see this is a holy war also. This is a war against ideas.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say that it's a holy war, because the score that plays there, which we have to get to Hans Zimmer with that score, but the score that gets...
Hans Zimmer! I love him so much. Sorry.
The score that plays in that whole betrayal scene is, that score is called the Holy War.
So really? Okay.
Yeah, it's very much, and the shot of the trees burning is a shot that we see in the Gom Jabbar scene, where he's about to give up and he hears the voice and he has the visions, and that's when he looks towards her, and that's when he has the vision of the palm trees burning, but he doesn't know what the palm trees are yet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just quickly get to Hans then, because that what you're saying there leads me to a good point. When I first heard part of the score, when they released, I guess, the single, I don't know, version, and it's got the vocalizations in it, I was like, what the fuck is this? How is this going to work? And then when you see it with the visual, you're like, oh, of course. And a lot of it's soundscape stuff too. It's noise, like the dragonfly copter things, when they enter the frame. What are they called?
Yeah. Ornithopter or ornithopters?
Hornicopters. What? Hornicopters?
No.
That's two kids in the cinema with hornicopters.
Ornithopters or ornithopters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, so when they enter the frame, you hear the sort of the beating, the brrr of the wings, I guess. But then it's also accompanied with like a huge bass stab that is Hans's score, which isn't I mean, it's a musical note, but it's not a note that then is progressive in the sense that
no, it's there.
Yeah, it's just
there.
dead. Yeah, and that's really interesting because then it becomes more soundscape than it is score. And the guy's just a master. He just understands sonics in a way that, and I'll never forget the video that came out of him working with like the 12 best drummers in the world to do the Man of Steel score.
Yes, that scene where he's in the middle and the 12 drums are just
Exactly, yeah, and it's
yes,
like people like Pharrell and Danny Carey from Tool and who's the other one? Sheila E, like Prince's drummer, just the top level drummers of all time. And he's sitting there and he's talking to him in his wonderful accent. I won't do it, and he's saying, you know, we're all going to work on the same licks, we're all going to work on the same grooves, and then as we get into it, little personalities will start popping in and things will start changing and whatever. And if you listen to that score, like regardless of what you think of the, you know, Man of Steel, that score is outstanding. We've talked about it before, but yeah, he is supremely talented. I'm so glad that, I mean, I know he won best score for The Lion King back in 94 or 95 or what it was, but
that's the only one he won, and the next one he won was for Dune.
Yeah, it's crazy because, you know, there's so many. I mean, the Dark Knight trilogy scored, particularly Batman Begins, it goes from being this searching theme, the journey theme of that, the strings, that ends up becoming the hero theme in the middle of, it's a 4-act structure, so it's sort of the middle of the 3rd act, when Bruce goes into the cave and all the bats surround him and he's suddenly not afraid. That journey theme becomes the hero theme that then is prevalent through the rest of the film. Little things like that. He understands storytelling through music in a way that I don't think a lot of other composers do. I think they're concerned with how to accentuate moments as opposed to tell the story sonically.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, just if you just need like a selling point of the film, it's Hans Zimmer getting an Oscar and his second ever Oscar for this film. Like, if you still haven't watched it, why are you here?
What are you listening to us for? We're not talking about it a lot either.
Yeah, not at all.
No, we've talked about a lot of other really weird things. But yeah, he's definitely got a grasp on the material as well, the science fiction nature of it. But it does feel, you know, big and Etherean in terms of its legend. You know, the slain king and the son that seeks revenge. It's and then when you get into like the actual death of Leto, where we're introduced to, well, I mean, we already have been introduced to him. Baron Harkonnen, played wonderfully by Stellan Skarsgård, in just some amazing makeup, you know. And this is to me, I sent it to you and you were like, I just ate this, man. Baron Harkonnen looks like what the mascot for Kentucky Fried Chicken should actually look like, as opposed to the guy with the cotton chin, you know, the little, that dude. And you were like, man, I've just had that. Well, don't. It's disgusting food. But yeah, it's such a gross and poisonous character. And then when he nearly gets killed and then ends up, you know, going to the healing tank and stuff, he kind of, I'll be interested to see how they're going to play him into whatever's next. Well, it's really ambiguous at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, I know why he is the way he is, because I've done research on the book.
Chicken McNuggets is what the problem is.
Oh yeah, it's chicken McNuggets and chicken McSpicy. That's all it is.
Chicken McSpice. That's great. Yeah, that's the problem. He said too much spice.
But yeah, I think there was an interview where he said that he wants more nudity for Baron Harkonnen in the second one. I'm all for it, man. Just give me all of it.
Hey, look, I think Stellan Skarsgård just likes being nude, and God bless him. You know, that's totally fine.
Oh, well, it's not really his body, though, is it? It's a baby suit.
It'd be a baby. Yeah, it'd be a huge baby suit. Yeah. He'd look like, you know, the baby from or the baby man from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting the way that character is portrayed. He's not even really the larger villain. I mean, it's
I mean, it's a film that has no villain. It's a coming of age story. It's
Totally.
a
Yeah.
it's about finding yourself in the most. It's not about looking for yourself, but it's finding yourself in the most stressful and the most hard times where the whole world literally is falling apart right in front of you, and your whole world, half of it's dead. And it's beautiful where where Paul's journey, at least for me, is him deciding that he is not going to be what his mom wants or what his dad wants or what the Bene Gesserit want. He wants to be what he doesn't even know what he wants to be when we start the film. But at least when he says at the end, I love it when he says, "My road leads into the desert," where he has some kind of actualization or just some kind of confidence that I don't give a fuck what I was meant to be, and this is what I know. This is what my dad taught me. This is what I believe in, and this is why we came to Arrakis for desert power, and I'll do everything in my power to just be that. And while choosing to not be what he was supposed to be, he's embracing his call to adventure or call to destiny, as you said.
Yeah, and not and brooking no opposition either. Of like, no, this is like you said, my way leads into the desert. He gets a new name too, if I'm not mistaken. Like, you know, I hope that's not too much of a spoiler for the next one, but he's like because he basically becomes a Fremen, really.
Yeah, he does. Amazing scene again.
Yeah, but it reminds me of, I remember when I saw it the first time, and I thought of the William Ernest Henley poem Invictus, and the last lines of that, which are it matters not how sturt the gate, no, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. That is sort of where he's at the end of it. He doesn't know what's ahead of him, but whatever it is it's his journey, and that's the decision that he's made, which is a great thing for a young person in a film to do, even just for other young people to look at and go, oh, okay, no, maybe I do know what's best for me, without having to follow some strange, cycle of do's and don'ts that our parents instill in us all the time.
Yeah, and it's one of the most like it's that line, and then it leads up to what Zendaya's character Chani says at the end, where this is only the beginning. It's a note for the story, but it's also a note for you. Like, if this happens, you get ready, because this is only the beginning, and so we're gonna go crazy places from here. But it's also, it hits you on a personal note where you're, well, if this is the beginning, then I'm a changed person than I was 2.5 hours ago.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that a film can do that.
And despite the fact that it is quite slow and meditative, I don't feel the time. You just said it's 2.5 hours. It's like 2 hours and 37 minutes or something like that.
35.
I don't feel that at all.
Yeah.
I'm just, you get soaked in it immediately. As soon as Zendaya's voiceover starts and starts explaining spice and just giving you a bit of an overview. And the other thing as well, you said it before, spice is a drug, right?
What it is? Are you asking what spice is or what it does?
What it does?
How the Fremen use it?
The Fremen, it's just in the air. So the Fremen are like high all the fucking time. Is that what's up?
Yeah. So they do believe the spice helps them to connect to God. That's why where there were the palm trees, there's a monastery there where they're all praying.
Right. Okay.
And it's something that I think, I'm not very sure, because again, I've not read any of the books, but I think what they were trying to show was that it's something that they take to find a connection towards their savior of sorts.
Right, which ends up being Paul.
Well, we don't know yet, but
Yeah, well, I
when
mean,
he comes,
that's what they're alluding
yeah,
to. Yeah, okay. But
absolutely.
it's just, I'm just a little confused in that. So it's like Rastafarians who part of their religion is using marijuana. Is that kind of what it's like?
I don't know what you're referring to, but in this yeah, sorry, but in the sense of the universe, spice is like a god element because it makes interstellar travel possible, makes so many other things, like it's like fuel in our world, basically.
But it can be used as a drug as well.
Yes.
Okay. I guarantee you go up to any hardcore drug user and tell them that whatever drug it is that they're using at that particular time can also facilitate interstellar travel. You'll blow their fucking head off.
Really? So all this time it could have been on moon.
Yeah, I've been sitting here getting high the whole time. I could have been in Jupiter. What the fuck? Could have been on Jupiter's moons. God damn it! So in terms of part 2, we definitely know we're getting it now, which is awesome. They kind of announced it pretty quick after, and why wouldn't you? Also, we have to also mention that this just swept the technical Oscars. This picture as well.
It won all of the technical ones, and it was shit. Forgot the name. It was nominated for 7 Oscars and it won 6.
Yeah, it won for best sound, best visual effects, best production design, best music written for a motion picture, original score by Hans Zimmer, best editing, and represent best cinematography by Greg Fraser, who is from Melbourne, Australia, and I believe he was from Bayswater, I was told the other day, or somewhere close to there. Man, what a legend. Just was the cinematographer on the Batman as well.
Yeah, and I hope he wins for the Batman as well.
Yeah, that was, I mean, he should at least be nommed because whatever you think about that film, it was beautifully shot. It was also nominated for Best Picture as well. Sadly didn't win. I would have enjoyed that. It was nominated for Best Makeup and Hair, Best Costume Design, and Best Adapted Screenplay as well. So yeah, it was nominated for quite a few, but won some great technical awards. I was particularly happy with Greg Fraser winning that. He was also the cinematographer on. Sorry, 1 second. So yeah, the Batman, Dune, The Mandalorian, Vice, Mary Magdalene, Rogue One, The Gambler, Foxcatcher, Zero Dark 30, Killing Them Softly, Snow White and the Huntsman, Let Me In, the remake of I think Let Them In. But yeah, supremely talented cinematographer. Probably one of the best cinematographers working today, clearly, because he just won a fucking Oscar. But yeah, very cool dude. So yeah, and hopefully he'll be back for number 2. Absolutely, along with Denny.
I just want to go back and just talk like a few minutes more about the Oscar situation, because Denis Villeneuve wasn't nominated for Best Director.
No, he wasn't.
And that's a shame, because he would have won.
It doesn't... I don't know if he would have won, but regardless of that, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, how can you not... I know that there's more pictures nominated than there is people who directed them. So there's in the who Best Director category, there's 5 people or whatever, but there's 10 films nominated for Best Film.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. You can't... No, I remember back in the day when a film would be the one that swept everything, and you would know which one it was going to be. It was fucking Titanic, or it was, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, or fucking. Now it's so disparate, and the voting is so sporadic in its nature, and there's so much stuff that has to be about like the politics of around a choice, as opposed to, is this the best film? Denis Villeneuve absolutely should have been nominated at the very least. It is a Herculean effort to adapt that book, especially in modern times, because it probably doesn't sit well for sci-fi fans. They're expecting, laser battles and all that kind of, Marvelization of shit. This was soft and quiet in a lot of places, and as I said, meditative, and had theme and story that, is not palatable to the modern cinema going audience. And yet he managed to make, like I said before in the joke intro, I meant it. It's an art house blockbuster. So yeah, I completely agree. It's I mean, not that it fucking means anything, the Oscars, really. They're a complete farce at this point. And I don't mean the people who work on them, and I don't mean the people who make the movies that get nominated. I believe that people should be absolutely rewarded for their efforts in this field, because it's a beautiful medium to work in, and to produce wonderful art in. But I just the political stance of the Oscars and the machine of it, the business part of it, has become quite bankrupt in terms of actually honouring what it should be honouring. Anyway, yeah. So you were right about that. Your hair looks amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
Fucking fantastic. You should see it, everyone. It's delicious.
It's a mess.
I love it. It's doing its own thing. It's great.
But yeah, and I would have wanted at least Denis Villeneuve getting nominated for Best Director, Timothée Chalamet for Best Actor, even though he wouldn't have won, but at least him, because that's his biggest role, where he's actually shown how skillful of an actor he is. And Jason Momoa for Duncan, Idaho, because that relationship with Duncan, Idaho doesn't come out like as fatherly. It comes out as brothers, as friends. Because if you go and watch The Hobbit, like the Gandalf in The Hobbit with Bilbo is the closest you get to friends, whereas Gandalf to the other dwarves is just his fatherly figure.
Okay.
Like he tells you what to do, and then okay, that's what you need to do now.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that relationship as well it's amazing, and it's a baller move to kill all the A-list actors in the first part.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Also, there's a lot of speculation around, Saoirse Ronan coming in to play the princess.
It's Florence Pugh.
Is it? Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, they already cast it.
Yeah,
if Saoirse Ronan's my favorite actress, if she was cast in it, I would be the first one to know.
I was sure that it was. Okay, yeah, Florence Pugh's great. Like, yeah, absolutely get her in there. It'll be interesting to see who takes over the role that Sting played in the original, the character's name escapes me. Hang on, I'll just look it up really quickly. Amuse yourselves, folks. Put on some hold music. While Riggs looks up some fucking shit that he should have done before, because that's how you research a podcast. Right. Fade. So in the book and in the original, Fade is an assassin for the Harkonnens, and he's like, just wants to kill them. My name is a word for death or whatever it is. No, my name is a killing thing or something. And he's like Paul's greatest physical adversary. And I was listening to another podcast before, which I won't pimp because I'm not on that one. And they were saying, you've got Zendaya in there. She's going in the desert with Timothée Chalamet, chimpanzee, Shamalamalan. Why not?
That's what Florence Pugh calls him.
Timothée Chalamet. Yeah,
that's so weird.
I love her.
So you know that.
She is wonderful. What a treasure. I wish she was my little sister so bad. These people on this podcast were saying it should be Tom Holland. Bring Tom Holland in and have those two little dudes fight.
That would be interesting.
But then they're pals, aren't they? They're chums.
They are, and hey, I love that they're friends and everything. The only reason why I'm a bit hesitant for that is if that happens, it will be a bit meta. It will take away from the whole story.
It would, yeah. I mean, it would become a Tom Holland picture because he's not an ensemble he's not an ensemble actor anymore. He's absolutely a leading man. We've learned that from not only the Spider-Man pictures but Uncharted, which wasn't horrible. Like it was serviceable. It was very forgettable. But he's flexing his muscles.
He's a leading man. And
yeah,
he's in his prime now, and Timothée Chalamet and Tom Holland both are in their primes. So get like an older actor. I'd say Nathan Fillion would be amazing.
Ooh, you got me. You got my sweet spot, my Fillion sweet spot. God, I love that guy so much. Hilarious. And such a good actor. He can turn on a dime too. There's episodes of Castle where his daughter gets kidnapped. Man, he turned, all the comedy goes away and he becomes legitimately threatening. So yeah, I can't wait for Dune 2. It's next year, isn't it? Or Dune Part 2?
Yeah, Dune Part 2 comes out later next year. Probably like October, I guess. Because they go into production like this summer.
It's soon, yeah. And I mean, they were probably ready to go for the most part. I'm pretty sure they had the script done. Eric Roth talked about it, who's a legendary screenwriter. And you can feel his fingerprints all over this. It's just... It has an old Hollywood feel about it, like you were talking about. It doesn't feel. It feels modern, but it also feels classical, just in the way that people make movies. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. Bring it on, bring it all on, and the TV show too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the TV show. I forgot about that. That was the leading point. We forgot.
It's totally fine. We got to where we needed to go. I mean,
but that's like
those characters.
That like takes place 2,000 years before this?
I don't know. This is set in like the year 10,000 and something. Is that correct?
No, it's 29,000 something, dude. Not 10,000.
Well, whatever the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not even worried about it. That's so far into the future I can't even fathom.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. Like this, like the first part. Okay. Was Dune the first movie that you watched after the pandemic, or like after a long break in theaters?
In theaters, I can actually tell you. Hang on 1 second. I keep a list of the movies that I watch, so I'll be able to tell you. It would have been, when did it sort of come to an end here in Australia? Because it's smaller. It probably would have been No Way Home actually.
No Way Home came out in December. Dune came out in. Dune came out in
I'm just
October.
having a look. Hang on. So no, because okay. So in November we were. Okay, so we were still in lockdown in October here of 2021. And then the first film that I went to the cinema to see after the end of lockdown was Shang-Chi.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then I didn't see Dune. What did you say it was again? Was it?
October.
It was October as well. It would have been pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, we came out of lockdown and all of a sudden I was like, give me everything. So yeah, within very quick succession, I saw Shang-Chi, The Eternals, Knit Ram, and then I went to the Astor to see Rocketeer and Citizen Kane. The Astor is a cinema in Melbourne that's like a legacy theatre where they show older pictures. And yeah, and then I went and saw, it was the same day, I went and did a double bill. I often do that. I'll go to the movies in the morning and then go and have lunch and then go to the movies in the afternoon because my fucking life rules. I love being a grown-up where you can make your own decisions and stuff. It's the best. You make big kid decisions like going to see Dune in the morning and then going to see Venom Let There Be Carnage in the nighttime. But yeah, so I went and saw it on the 12th of December.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so probably a bit after it had opened, yeah. But I wanted to get in because I knew it was going to be an Oscar one because I like to see the Oscar pictures,
Cool. Oh, yeah, because they do re-release them, right?
Sometimes.
Some at least.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I mean, Dune was still probably big enough that it would be doing the rounds in theaters then anyway. But if I went in the morning, it would have been, like a 10 a.m. session or something that they often do when the films are kind of gearing up for the award season. What was your question again? What was that?
No, I was saying I love the early morning shows. So I was.
It's the first time I went and saw No Way Home. It was the day after it opened, but it was 10:15 in the morning at a small cinema called the Cameo Cinema in Belgrave in Melbourne, which is in the hills. And the Cameo is a small cinema, but it's been there for years, at least 40 years, because I was one of the first cinemas I ever went to, and I'm a member there, and I adore it. It's my. I was there today seeing The Northman, and I went and saw No Way Home there first thing in the morning, and it was dead. Like, it was me and 2 other people in No Way Home opening day. Can you imagine?
I absolutely cannot.
Unbelievable. I had a seat for me and my popcorn. It was great. So, did you want to get to favorite moments, favorite lines, kind of deal?
Yeah, I just want, like, if there's any chance that Danny Villeneuve is listening to this, I just want to say.
What do you mean chance? Of course he is.
Oh, of course he's, yeah. Yeah, my last film in theaters before Dune was 1917.
Oh, right, sorry.
Yeah, and then Dune was coming out. I was like, holy shit, I need to take my friends to this. And my friends I'm like, all my friends that don't like sci-fi and like Lord of the Rings kind of shit. Okay. It's not their taste. I was like, this is the film. I gave them all the rundown that we've done here. Everything. They've heard it like thousands of times now. But now they're like, dude, shut the fuck up, please.
Whatever. If someone doesn't want to listen to it, they can skip ahead in the podcast. On Spotify, there's a 15-second skip button, so give that a whirl if you want.
Yeah. Or if you're on Amazon Music, you could do that too. I don't know what the...
Because we're accidentally on Amazon Music. Yeah. Idiot. Sorry. I don't know. I cut your point off. It's been a long day.
Yeah, so I convinced all my friends that if this movie isn't good, you don't like it. Okay. I took all of them to IMAX and we watched it.
Good
and
man.
My mind was blown.
Get people into it.
Like the first thing that comes up is dreams are messages from the past.
Before the logo.
Before the logo, and my seat shook because it's IMAX. I was like, whoa, shit.
I must ask you though, in the IMAX cinema, was there anyone getting a fucking hand job behind you like my one?
Dude, it was packed. I don't know.
So probably not, unless they were real exhibitionists kind of thing going on. Yeah, I should have seen it in IMAX. I did think about it, but my film club talked about it because the year before, at Christmas time, for our like Hit 66, my company's like Christmas party, the entire film club, a bunch of which of the guys like, they're not our staff, but they're dudes who work with us on recording and filmmaking and all that stuff. So we all kind of went out to the cinema and that was part of our thing. And it was such a worthwhile thing doing. And we talked about doing it for Dune as well, and then it just never transpired. I'm disappointed. We should have done it.
But yeah, I mean, that film is made for IMAX, and it's like, you don't understand the impact of a small sound that you would hear in a standard theater. And like I went and watched it with my family again because I was like, no, I need my family to watch it as well.
Yeah. You want to share joy with people. I get it, man. I totally get it.
Yeah. And so I went and watched it in IMAX for the first time. And like the Gom Jabbar scene where the witch, or like the head witch, she uses the voice on Paul, my seat started vibrating. I was like, oh shit, I can feel it.
I can feel the Dune.
The voice.
Yeah.
Not that, please.
Can't feel the Dune?
I can feel the Dune. That's fair. I can feel the voices.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Was it like a 4D cinema, or I've never been to an IMAX where the seat moves.
No, it wasn't like it just vibrated because the sound.
Oh, because of the sound, right? Okay, I thought you were saying it was the chair was moving independent of you. Okay, right.
Could you imagine watching Dune in fucking 4DX when the seats move? You can't sit still there then.
Yeah, and sporadically some asshole, 15-year-old usher comes up and throws sand in your fucking face. You fucking pow! What are you doing, man? Fucking, is there drugs in that? Is there cocaine in this? What the fuck's going on? It's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, nothing you.
I don't think you
It's
I don't think you should do cocaine and go and watch Dune, everybody. That's a huge... It's a waste of cocaine, if anything. Nonsense. Well, I'm glad. See, I get that about wanting to go with people, because my fiance is a really successful theatre stage manager. So she works nights, and she was working a couple of big shows in... Oh, thanks. Why are you clapping? She's not here. She's in Sydney. But yeah, she works on big shows, and she was working on a really big show at that particular period of time when No Way Home came out at the end of last year. And I went and saw it 3 times at the cinema, and I was alone each time. Like, I didn't go with her. But then when it came out on direct to video or direct to release, and I got it on Prime, it was so great watching it with her. Like, you want to share the things that you love. Like, that's why we have a podcast. We're not doing this for shits and giggles. No, we are doing it for shits and giggles. We're not doing this for for fame and fortune. We're doing it because we love this stuff. And I totally get that, wanting to go and say, hey, everyone, this is something that means a lot to me, and this is the best way to experience. Like, come and be part of that with me. Come and join with me, whether they fucking like it or not.
Yeah.
So,
and that's one of my favorite cinema going experiences ever. It's not even No Way Home. It's Dune.
We did when we first started talking. When we first started talking, you told me that as well. You were like, that's the tip of the spear.
Every chance I get, I bring that story up. That's what I'm saying.
Tell everybody. Fantastic. Well, yeah, absolutely recommend Dune. Everyone, get out there and check it out. It is available on VOD now, and just love it. Just be involved and get yourself some, I don't know, some gummy worms.
Transient.
What's a good snack for it? Gummy worms would be a good snack for it. Anything wet, bowl of soup or some water is probably a good idea just to have next to you. I was really thirsty through a lot of it, I'll tell you that much. Just have a good time.
Water on an artist.
Yeah, exactly. I did spit on somebody. But yeah, so just get into it and accept it for what it is, and I think you'll enjoy it. But we're going to do our roundup before we get to Q&A. We're going to do our favourite lines and our favourite moments. Let's start. Do you want to start with favourite lines as favourite moments, Addy?
You choose, because we've got top 3 favourite moments, and I've got top 5 lines as well.
Okay, well let's do favourite moments first. I don't have these in an order, but I think probably one of my favourite moments is the moment when he's doing the is it Gom Jabbar test?
Yeah.
And you can see him struggling, and the poison dart's right next to his neck, and then all of a sudden, you're right, that score drops in, and he just stares down the Bene Gesserit, and the furious determination to endure what was happening to him, and looking into that woman's eyes. Wonderful. What a great performance. So that's one.
It's the acceptance of pain, and just that. Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. I thought you'd frozen. The understanding that pain ends, but his power does not. So, what's one of your favorites?
My number 3 is when they're in the storm, when they escape. It's right after Duncan Idaho's death, when they escape and they're in the storm, and he has a vision where he sees Jamis, and Jamis says, "It's the mystery of life is not to be solved, but a source to go through." And you see the imagery of the sand vibrating and turning into water and stuff, and it's that scene in the storm where he has a vision, and instead of fighting with the storm, he turns off all the controls of the helicopter. I'm not going to say the name. turns off all the controls of the helicopter. He just goes with the flow.
Yeah,
and that saves his life.
Super cool. Yeah. See, you remember? I forgot that bit, and you reminded me. Okay, my next favorite is just because of, it's actually a line, but it's a moment as well. It's where he's, Paul has underestimated the opponent, and Gurney says, they're brutal. Like that moment. I was like, all right, I would listen to this guy. That whole scene actually is really, really great.
Yeah.
The training scene. That entire moment of them training is really, really great. So that's number 2.
My number 2 is the first time we see Duncan, where he comes out of the ship and he hugs Paul.
You're such a softie, Addy. I love it so much. You are. You're so sentimental. Like, no wonder we get along so well. It's beautiful. It's such a great place to be in. Yeah, that's a very sweet moment. Sadly, my last favorite moment is a Duncan Idaho scene, but it's, it precedes his untimely death. And even though that the actual fight scene in that corridor where he pulls the second blade out is just, and Momoa like sells it. He's such a physical actor. He's got such presence. The guy's channeling gods. And but it's the moment where he does the salute, the sword to the arm and then the sword to the forehead. And shuts, and the door shuts just at that moment. I'm like, oh, why don't you just kick me in the balls that I'll cry? Amazing. That's my favorite. That was the moment in the film where I felt the most emotionally charged, because I knew what was about to happen.
Yeah, it's a salute of save the future, and now this is my time to save it one last time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's your last one?
Oh, that was your number 1?
That's my number 1. Yeah. Oh no, is there 5?
No, the top 3.
Yeah. That was my number 1. Absolutely. What's your number 1?
My number 1 is Duke Leto's death, and the way that it's cut. He's dying, like the time when he presses the teeth, it's the same time Paul takes out the ring from the bag. So it's the simultaneous editing of the situation where you're on the same page as Paul when he understands that his dad has died, and now the house at trade is on his shoulders.
Yeah, that's a very sorry, I cut you off there. What'd you say?
No, just say it's beautifully edited and just amazing.
It's a technique called intercutting, and it's where you're going back and forth from two scenes that are paralleling each other, not necessarily in time always, but in story beat, in theme. So those are two very important moments that are connected, even if they're not happening at exactly the same point in time. So yeah, absolutely, man. I love that. And Oscar Isaacs, the guy's wonderful. All right, so favorite lines. I've actually got, like, full transparency, I've got IMDb's quotes actually up in front of me, and I'm just sort of, because I didn't write these down, I'm kind of rolling through them just while we chat. But obviously, one of my favorites that I've just read back here and gone, oh yeah, that is a really, really good line, is I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings obliteration. Do I sometimes chant that when I'm doing deadlifts and it's really heavy? Maybe. I don't know, maybe. Deadlifts are heavy, all right? I need all the help I can get. So that's a really good one. What's one of your favorites, Addy?
My number 5 is very fitting because I've been quoting it since the first episode. It's weird how it's on number 5 and this is the 5th episode now.
Okay.
This is only the beginning.
Yeah,
this is my number 5.
It's so good because and the fact that it comes at the end of the story, the promise of more of this world. I know that people were like, oh, it doesn't end properly or whatever. Shut up. Well, not shut up, but I understand what you're saying, but just give it a second. The promise of more of this world in that line is not only the story and Paul's journey and everybody's journey, really, Lady Jessica's and Zendaya's character, and her entire race as well. It's Denis Villeneuve saying, oh, don't you worry, we got some more of this standy business, don't worry about it. Cool. And another line that I very much enjoy, which I'm just looking up here, Duncan Idaho says, dreams make good stories, but everything important that happens is when we're awake. And I like that in the sense that he's kind of wrong. It's what is going on in Paul's subconscious, and his prescience, his ability to see into the what ifs and the maybes and the definitelys, is incredibly important, even though it is of a subconscious nature. So, and Momoa.
Yeah, Momoa.
Love him.
You stole my number 2.
Eat a bag of salt and vinegar dicks. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, what's your number 4? I'm not doing these in order. I'm just going down and going, hey, I really liked this.
Yeah, my number 4 is My Road Leads into the Desert.
Because it does.
Yeah, because it does. Yeah.
Fantastic line from Duke Leto. A great man doesn't seek to lead; he is called to it. Anybody can take that, and it doesn't matter, man, woman, or other. If you put yourself in that sentence, and you are a leader, not that I am, but I can feel the power in that line. Definitely.
That was tied with my number 1, but I went with something else.
Am I running roughshod all over your guesses?
My number 3 is the mystery of life isn't a problem to solve, but a reality to experience.
Yeah, I really like that too. Some fucking Republican in America used that in a speech at one point, and I was like, would you shut up? Just shut up. Not that that's important, but it's a great line.
Yeah.
And it's in voiceover, is it not? Yeah, it's in Paul's vision.
It's in Paul's vision. It's weird how that vision never actually happened.
Yeah.
Where we see James guiding Paul to his journey, but his journey, or at least the start of his journey, is to kill James. And
it's in the death of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's a harbinger. Maybe that's a forebear of what's to happen. Is this person will guide you even if they don't do it in this fashion. The death of that man will be, a linchpin in your journey to become whatever it is it'll become.
Really? What's your number 2?
Am I up to number 2 or number 3? Yes, number 2. Hang on. There was one I thought of, and I need to get the wording right. It was the box one. Hang on one sec. Sorry. Yeah. It's when the Bene Gesserit is talking to Paul, and she's like, the test is simple. Remove your hand from the box and you die. And Paul says, what's in the box? And she just says, pain. Ooh, that is cold-blooded. I love it.
Yeah. My number 2 is your number 4. Dreams make good stories, but everything important happens when we're awake.
Yeah, great line. And again, delivered with such casual kind of, don't worry, buddy, I know better than you. And you're like, no, you don't. So good. And I think, as I said, these aren't in order. They're just lines that I really liked. And Duke Leto's line, which is, it's so steeped in formality and legacy and kind of anachronistic way of behavior. But it's just when the guy comes down and says, hey, the Emperor says you can go and mine spice for him. And the Duke says, we are House Atreides. There is no call we do not answer. There is no faith that we betray. The Emperor asks us to bring peace to Arrakis. House Atreides accepts. Like, I just love the strength. Yeah, it's just like Leto is, and absolutely Oscar Isaacs has so much, gravitas in that role. Normally that kind of pontificance and almost kind of like royal family speechifying garbage bothers me. Like, would you shut up and get on with the point? But in this, all of that stuff in this film really, really struck a chord, and I can't explain why. It did. And what's your number 1? I'm so excited.
My number 1's a whole passage.
Cool, let's do it. Here we go. Oh, he's got
Oh no, I have it on my phone.
Oh, it's on your phone. It looks like a notepad.
Yeah. I do have a notepad. I sent you the photo of the editing points.
Yeah.
It's my notepad.
You should put that up, for people, to show people the effort this man, I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, and people of all sorts and colours and creeds and favourite lollies, this man is so dedicated to this podcast. It's miraculous. Like, I turn up and I talk and it's super fun and I get to hang out with my friend for a couple of hours and then speak to you lovely people. And then I take the file, I do an audio master on it, I check it and I send it back to Addy. And that's it. And he does everything else. He's so dedicated and talented in what he does. You should all be giving a round of applause. So just you're a dude, Addy. I love you. Thanks so much for all the work that you do.
Yeah, I'm a dude. I love you too, man. Thank you.
All right. So your number one passage. I want to hear it.
Okay. I feel like putting the mind killer thing is cheating, because that is the best line of the whole book.
Yeah, it's the one that everyone knows as well.
Yeah. But there's something that not everyone knows, but I fucking loved it. Right, let's go.
Okay.
Best fucking okay.
Take two.
Take two. Bless the maker and his water. Bless the coming and going of him. May his passage cleanse the world. May he keep the world for his people.
So good. So good. What a nice way to send people off.
And that's the first time we see the Shah Halud.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's so good, man. It's a great movie. It's a really great movie, everyone. We should check it out. So before we run it off, you should check it out. Not we should check it out. We've checked it out already. You go and check it out.
I've checked it out 6 times.
And then come back to us and tell us what you thought. But we've got a bit of Q&A, Addy, is that right?
We do have Q&A.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for sending in questions. This is super fun. I love doing this part.
Thank you so much, everyone. Okay. So, for fuck's sake. Someone asked
about
why
pineapple
John
again?
Carter...
Is it pineapple? Is it the pineapple question? Fuck.
No, it's the same guy, though. It's the same guy, though.
The legend. I love him.
Why is John Carter an underrated film to you? Have you seen John Carter?
Yes.
Is it underrated for you?
Yeah, I mean it bombed and it nearly bankrupted Disney. It did not do well. I like that movie. It's a bit long, but it's a really good action adventure. It's not
that long. It's 2 hours, 12 minutes.
It's a bit long for the material, maybe. I don't know, but I mean, it's like the Mummy or something of that kind of Journey to the Center of the Earth, or The Race to Witch Mountain. It's just a good, big, fun sci-fi story, and it's cool. Like, this person, a human being, goes to Mars and has different abilities there because the environment's different. Like, it's a reverse Superman. It's super cool.
Yeah, it's Superman, but from the eyes of... What the fuck am I saying? No. Yeah.
Well, you check yourself there. What the fuck am I talking about? Jesus, Addy, come on, mate.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a Superman story from the perspective of Kal-El, and I was like, that's what Superman is, you fuck.
You jackass. Yeah, no, I get it. No, I think the Superman story is often a perspective of the people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not necessarily, especially when you get to the second act of those movies, it's always the people. So I totally get that. Do you like that film a lot, don't you? I know we'll probably do an ep on it one day, but...
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that film... Okay, wow. That film, it's a whole crumbling from the whole perspective of... It was Disney that had this IP and had nothing planned to do with it, but they were like, we're getting Star Wars, let's just do this. And John Carter, I mean, you have the name John Carter. Like, if you watch a movie called Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, you know that name. That's why you go and watch that, right? You watch the film Indiana Jones because you know that name. You fucking love it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew John Carter. It's 100-year-old text, and nobody knows, nobody cares, and it's an amazingly well done film, and the visuals are amazing. Uh, Good God, who's Green Goblin, dude?
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, yes. Points to Riggs for
Yay!
letting me.
Yeah, I actually got a name right. Who's
Yeah.
the Green Goblin guy? Is he?
William Dafoe is in it, and he plays a CG dude who is one of my favorite sci-fi characters ever.
Tars to Cars.
Yes. Like those aliens are like they have 4 arms. Like, it's amazing. It's
And a really fast dog
it's a frog dog.
that looks like a mushroom. Yeah, a frog dog. A frog dog. And it's directed by Andrew Stanton, who wrote the Finding Nemo films and WALL-E, no less.
It was a time of Disney acquiring Star Wars, and they tried to do something that didn't sit right with a lot of people. I love that film. I watched it with my mom, which is the highlights.
I think I'm gonna have to revisit, actually. Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote the original story, The Princess of Mars. Well, there you go. Yeah, right on. Well, that's what we think of it. Person who asked about the pineapple.
Yeah. Right. Here's another one.
Mm-hmm.
What would your dream casting be for any of the characters in Dune 2? I don't know a lot of them.
Yeah. Oh well. That's me either. Like I'm sort of a little bit. I'm just trying to think back to the Lynch version. Like I said before, the character that Sting played, where he was wearing a grown-up nappy, fade. Yeah, I'd say. I mean, he's probably the biggest character that will be. Maybe not. Okay, I'm just going to go with that character because I know that's a character they're going to have to introduce, and you need someone who is a trained killer, like a born killer, and could match wits with what I'm assuming will be a better trained Paul Atreides as played by Timothy Chalamet. So who would I cast in that role? Tom Holland was just a joke. That I don't think that's probably the best idea. Oh fuck, your main man, Henry Cavill.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! Yeah! Yes!
Get him in there and get him in villain mode, like in Mission Impossible Fallout. You know, have him be huge and just,
have him be huge with a beard and a mustache, please.
Yeah, and a red hair, like the way that they're supposed to be, big red head and a huge handlebar mustache. Like make him look like Lobo. Like bring it on.
That's vague.
Lobo's a good pull. Lobo's I enjoy Lobo.
Yeah,
we should do him. What about you?
Only if you got the Lobo reference, I love you.
Of course, yeah. If anybody knows who Lobo is, chef's kiss to you. So yeah, that would be my pick anyway.
Yeah, I mean you can't. It's Henry Cavill now. Where else do I go from there?
Henry Cavill could play me in a movie and I'd go and see it. But then again, that would probably work. He could play The Phone Book in The Phone Book, the movie, and I would go and see it. So, wonderful actor. Next.
Wow, I'm gonna go in a limb here and say I don't know the actor, but he's from Dark, the German Netflix TV show. Sure. He plays the stranger in the first season. Who I'm not going to give any spoilers away because I want literally everyone on this planet to see that show. But yeah, the arc of that character and the way the actor plays him, it's phenomenal. His name is Andres, and I'm not going to pronounce the last name because I do not know.
Good call.
Yeah. But yeah, the guy who plays the stranger, in dark. I can show you if you want.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can put a picture up for the YouTube folks if you want to. But otherwise, everybody get your phones out and get on IMDb. And if you don't have that app, you should, because we're all cinephiles here.
Yeah, or just Google. Just Google dark and you'll have it.
Yeah, it'll probably be the first thing that comes up.
Yeah, or you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna say the stranger who plays the person who plays Stranger in Dark, or the guy who plays Jonas Conwald, the main guy, Lewis Hoffman. Get him. He's fucking amazing in that show.
Be good. Nice to see a bit of, Henry Cavill's a pretty big name. Maybe give somebody who isn't, because it's all they're very well established casts. All of the people in those are top tier, in Hollywood right now. Maybe cast outside your normal net. Definitely.
Yeah.
I like your thinking, sir.
Yeah, also like Dark's an amazing TV show. So.
I know, I keep fucking every time you mention it, I'm like, God damn it, I'm skydiving again. I need to watch this.
I'm just going to show you here.
Right on my hand. Oh, he's delicious. Man, what a jawline. Yeah, get him to headbutt Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, and like, I think you can see it clearly now.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Because he looks kind of effete the same way that Sting does, but still looks formidable. Like he could kick some ass.
Yeah, he really could.
Yeah, right on. I love it. Any more questions?
Yeah, we've got as much as the first one. We've got 7.
7. All right. Well, we'll speed through them.
Right. What are your thoughts on Dune, and will there be a Dune Part 2? Well, you just listened to the whole podcast. That's a thought.
Yeah, and thank you. We hope you enjoyed the answer to your question. And yes, there'll be a Dune Part 2. It's guaranteed.
Yes, there will be, and I can't wait.
Yeah, that was a good question. Next.
What do you think makes films cinematography stand out? Any personal references or preferences?
What do I think makes a film's cinematography stand out?
Yeah.
And do I have any preferences?
Yeah.
I think probably motivated lighting is super important. Roger Deakins and Greg Fraser are masters of that. Whenever you see an image in a film and it is lit by what appears to be moonlight, street light, like interior lamps, things like that, that's not the case. There are lights in there. They can even be in the shot in some instances, but the bulb will be replaced with a stronger bulb because cameras aren't as sensitive as the human eye, and they have to conform to f-stops and ISO ratings and shutter speeds and things like that. And if it's moonlight or something, I can guarantee you it's not. It's usually a plume, like a huge big light in the sky. But they look like it looks like it belongs. You're not going, that's unusual. The shadows are cutting wrong or whatever. I just finished a project recently where I used a lamp in the background of a shot in soft focus, and then that motivated the light that was next to the character. And then I used cove lighting, which is a technique that Roger Deakins uses, where you drop a white, like a flat bounce, and then curve it at the floor, and then hit light into that at different strengths, and it softens the shadows on the opposite side of that person's face. But if you look at that shot, it looks like it's being lit by that lamp. So I think motivated lighting is really critical. And also, if we're talking about cinematography, you have to talk about camera movement. Having just seen The Northman, there's a lot of extended takes where the camera is moving in dynamic ways, in ways that maybe you're not aware, revealing things at the same time as a character. So I think as beautiful as a locked off shot can be, Dune is a perfect example of that. When there is movement, unexpected movement, there's that great shot in Black Panther where not T'Challa, who's the bad guy in that? Killmonger enters the throne room, and the camera is on its side and then dutches as he enters the frame. Sorry, people can't see my hands doing that, but I'm sort of mimicking what it is. Things like that, dynamic movement, motivated lighting, and also an understand of timing, and not timing as in the way something, how long it takes to get from point A to B, color timing. So, or what is commonly referred to as color grading. So how you enhance the image by using tone and texture, either in the post-production, when you're doing post-production, or if you're actually building LUTs into your camera work. Greg Fraser did amazing work on the Batman. I don't know if he used built-in LUTs and stuff, but the tone and texture of that picture is remarkable, and the use of water in particular as a way to translate light on screen. So yeah, I also kind of like a flat image. Like, I don't like too much color grading. Like, there was this huge thing sorry, I know I'm going on, but I love this stuff. There was a huge thing in the early 2000s spun out of kind of, I guess, the Tony Scott, thought of filmmaking, or just post Matrix, where everybody went to this super like saturated, high contrast imagery that is, it's really cool looking, but everything looks like a Pepsi commercial.
It's so much on you that you're like, Jesus Christ. Yeah,
like a lot of saturation, a lot of really harsh whites, really dark blacks, not a lot of dynamics, and something that's sort of coming back more now. And I noticed it in an Australian film called The Dry with Eric Bana that was shot here. And I actually messaged the cinematographer on Instagram and said how much I love the film. It was much more the natural. I mean, it probably wasn't the natural look you get out of the camera when shooting log, which is a form of shooting, or a way you shoot something flat, so that you have, between 8 to 16 stops of adjustment you can make in post. But Dune is an example of that. It is quite matte. It's not a lot of sheen. It looks like sand. So I think definitely that I like the dynamics of that, as opposed to the really high contrast, film clip look. Wow, I just went on and on. I'm so sorry. I do that. I can't help it.
I love that, man. And you're absolutely right. It came out of the Transformers films, which is oversaturation.
To an absurd degree, those films, yeah, very much so. And that's
like, I can't go back and look at those films now, because they're like, there's too much, man.
It's hard, especially when you see things like Dune being produced, where it's and look at those films again. I guarantee you, if you look at a film that has a DP behind it, like to the talents of Greg Fraser or Roger Deakins, look at where the light is coming from. Look at how it's hitting the space, because you don't light faces, you light spaces, and then you put the faces in them. So look at the way that these people are drawing your eye in places where it would naturally go based on light, but that light is not natural. It is being manufactured, and how remarkable it is that they can use the magic of cinema to make you think that that's what's going on. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. For 20 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah. For me, my personal references would, I'd say Greg Fraser for Dune, and Roger Deakins for 1917. Those films are masterpieces in just the way that they're shot. And it's like not even about the technical stuff, because 1917 is the one shot, and Dune is this immaculate experience. But anything that makes you feel like that world is real and tangible is something that always gravitates me. It's a very small answer towards yours, but that's what I feel.
Well, I've been a cinematographer for like 20 years, so I just have more kind of, and I'm not in anywhere near the ability level that these guys are, because I mostly just a cameraman, but I do have some idea of how to make things look right. But I mean, 1917, Roger Deakins had cameras built differently so that he could make that picture. They had an ISO, which is the level of it's sort of like an f-stop, but it's just the way the sensor on the camera reads light and how sensitive it becomes. And the higher it is, typically the more noise you get in the image, the more grain. So most modern cameras, you're looking at about 850 as a native ISO, which is, a good place to be in. So you're not going to get too much noise in places. The Canon C300 Mark III that I currently use, its ISO stop goes up to 32,000 and it's still pretty fucking good in terms of not getting too much grain. Roger Deakins had cameras, changed so that he could use only candlelight, and their ISO stop is, ridiculous. It's 100,000. So yeah, I mean, they're definitely the guys who are doing the work that's the most interesting. Just moving the art form forward.
Next question.
Yeah, that was a big one. Thank you for asking that. I love talking this stuff, so I appreciate your time.
So do you believe that the lack of a third act takes away from the movie? I personally do. That's what the person said.
They personally do.
Yeah.
I can understand why you would feel that way. Sure. I don't think the third act of that film is very short. It starts when they're in the cavern and the Fremen come upon them. It's mostly second act, that film, and you're absolutely right. I find the ending quite satisfying, like I said before, in that the button on it is, you see someone riding a sandworm and you're like, well, the Shai Hulud, and you're like, oh, okay, this is a whole new adventure about to come. So, but yeah, I mean, as a regular cinema goer, a regular observer of film, it could feel unsatisfying. Yeah, I don't feel that way, but I could understand why someone would.
Yeah, I also get what the person means, because as you said, it is a really, really short third act, and not to compare, but I am going to. The Lord of the Rings films, even though tell a larger story, those films do follow a 3-act structure where each film has their own story to tell. Where this feels like a new. The third act of this film feels like, or I guess the first act feels like a starting of an act, right?
Yeah.
And I'm all for that. I'm like, you break the system and you break the rules of writing, and you still come up with a piece like Dune. It's just mind blowing.
Yeah, and you don't need to. The idea of an act structure is just it's conforming to an idea of what screenwriting is. Or playwriting for that matter. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Like I said before, Batman Begins has 4 acts. Some films have, a prologue, and then the first act is only a few minutes, and then it's a huge second act or whatever. Like it doesn't, and then sometimes you can have something that is almost not a third act at all, like we're talking about Dune. As long as the story that you're telling has a cohesiveness, it shouldn't really matter. But I do. This is a particular case because it ends at a dead stop, and it wasn't necessarily a guarantee that you were going, like with Lord of the Rings, we knew something else was coming, when they were like, no, we've got to go after the hobbits that have been kidnapped because that's what our role is, and Sam and Frodo can go to the mountain, and that's that's not our charge, so that's the next adventure. But with this, it was like, this is only the beginning, and you're like, well, fuck, is it? Come on, Zendaya, I listen to you a lot. The scene where she throws the bread roll at
I was like, where?
Andrew Garfield. Do you have the tingly thing? I've got the tingly thing, just not for bread. Like, oh my God. What a wonderful actress, anyway, is my point. Next question.
From reading the book, which is one character you want to see in the next movie? Well, you haven't read the book. I've read 0.3% of the book.
Yeah, that's not much. Yeah, no, I haven't read the book. But like I said before, the character of Fade, who was played by, I think that's how you say it, who was played by Sting minus the police. People who like Sting or don't like Sting or the police will think that's funny because the police were his band. But Addie's looking at me like I've just had a stroke or something. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing that character. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Florence Pugh as the princess.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
The daughter of the of the Emperor,
Mm.
basically.
Yeah.
And there are plans for that character that I must not say.
Yeah. We'll leave it. We'll leave that. So, and what was the last question?
And the last one is top 5 sci-fi films. Go.
Fuck. Top 5 sci-fi. Okay, off the top of my head, without actually giving them,
Okay, that's not the last question.
Isn't it?
We got more.
Okay.
It's not, we got more.
That's all right. I'll do it real quick then. Probably, you sons of bitches, what are you doing this to me for? Back to the Future 2. Yes, before Back to the Future 1, because that's how I roll. I'm looking around my house at, Creature from the Black Lagoon. I'd say that's probably more sci-fi than anything, as even though it's a monster picture. I really like Event Horizon, but only because I watched it recently, so I'm just sort of thinking about it more. 2001: A Space Odyssey, and Alien.
Nice.
I might feel differently tomorrow. I might think of a whole bunch of other ones and be like, "Fuck, why didn't I mention this one?" But that off the top of my head, and it's getting long. I wanted to give you a quick answer. What about you?
Dune.
Fucking yeah, Dune.
Yeah, the one that we have the podcast about, but you forgot to mention your list. That one.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
Yeah, but yeah, for me, yeah, Dune's first. Back to the Future, because of course.
Yep.
Blade Runner 2049.
I forgot the original Blade Runner. Damn it. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Holy shit! I haven't seen a lot of sci-fi. Have I? Oh, John Carter, because
we just talked about it.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy. That classifies as sci-fi, right?
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, it's a space opera. Yeah.
Oh no, Ad Astra.
Oh man, that movie rules. Apart from the weird second act baboon.
Oh no, fuck that. Fuck Ad Astra. 2001.
Yeah, 2001: Space Odyssey is pretty great. I mean, Ad Astra is I really like that film. I went and saw it at the cinema with absolutely no preconception, and it was just like, holy shit. Interstellar's pretty good too, while I think of it. And The Martian. Yeah. There's a lot of really good sci-fi. Go out and get some sci-fi.
Yeah, The Martian.
Friends, it's fantastic.
The Martian's a more entertaining sci-fi film than a lot of sci-fi films.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a good one-man show. I like. I like.
Matt Damon.
Absolutely. Was there one more question? Did you say?
Yeah. What's your favorite Denis Villeneuve film?
Arrival.
That's the only one I haven't seen.
Oh man, fuck everyone! We're leaving right now, and Addie's going to watch Arrival. It's out fucking standing, man. It is just, it's everything I love about movies: the spectacle and the scope, and using genre to talk about human stuff, and like, I don't even know. Just go and check it out, because it is. I watched it again like fairly recently. Oh, it's wonderful. Check it out.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll check it out for sure. My favorite Denis Villeneuve film is Dune.
Is Dune? Yeah. See, he's batting 100% at the moment for Addy. I love it. What was it before that though?
Favorite Denis Villeneuve film?
Yeah, before Dune came out.
Prisoners, probably.
Yeah. That's see. I did a whole run of his stuff last year. After rewatching Sicario, which is great too. He doesn't have a lot of misses. I'm telling you. Like if he was a baseball player, he'd be like Babe Ruth. I mean he's or if he was a hockey player, he'd be Wayne Gretzky. He's definitely knocking out a park. Can't wait for Dune 2. Was that the last question?
We've got one more. What's your? Sorry.
It's all right. It's fine.
Your favorite Roger Deakins film, or a film that Roger Deakins has done the cinematography for?
Oh man, can you hang on while I look it up? Because I don't want to like say something.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same. Yeah. I know my answer, but I have to do the same.
Roger Deakins. God, he's just such an amazing. He was born in 1949. That's
There was an interview that came out after the 1917 where he said, I think the interviewer was like, so is there ever a plan to hang up the coat because because of your age? Because he's 72, he's not that old, but yes, he is old. See, he said, and he brought out the camera that he got made for 1917, and he said, the weird thing is the more amount of numbers I gain in my age, the more lighter the cameras become.
Yeah, he's almost made for it. It's never going to be a struggle for him. Remarkable. I mean, he's the greatest living cinematographer. Absolutely, and he might be the greatest of all time. I don't know, but he also has a podcast with his wife called Team Deacon.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely
love that podcast.
Yeah, for cinema fans, check it out. It's fantastic. I think my favorite film that he's done is The Big Lebowski, but that's because that's my second favorite film. But my favorite film based on the cinematography is No Country for Old Men.
Oh, I knew that. I knew that answer straight away.
Yeah, either that or the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford is the first film I've ever seen anyone use a split shift lens, which is you'll often see them when they're doing landscape images, and it focuses the lens on a very particular point of the frame, so much so that it often makes cityscapes look like miniatures. You'd know what I meant if you saw that. And he used this. He actually adjusted factory lenses to be able to do this, and they channeled the focal point of the lens to a minute degree. That movie has taught me more about cinematography in 2.5 hours than I did in 3 years of film school. It was just incredible. But I still think No Country for Old Men, just because, again, the motivated lighting, the lack of lighting as well, the absence of light is in cinematography is just as important as the presence of light, even more so in some cases, especially when you're doing a neo-noir like No Country.
Yeah, I would argue the absence of light is more important.
Yeah, pretty damn critical. In order to have positive space, you need negative space to accentuate. So, No Country. What about you?
Yeah, it's weird not putting 1917 up there because that's one of my favorite movies of all time. But I will have to go with Skyfall.
Okay, yeah, right, all right.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
Skyfall, yeah, it's the one that not a lot of people like, but that's my favorite Bond film.
Oh, you're gonna get eaten in the comments. You can't fuck with people with Bond, Star Wars, or the Snyderverse. You get eaten alive.
Or the MCU.
Or the MCU, yeah. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. We're all allowed to have our opinions. And Roger Deakins is a legend is one of them. So is that all? Is that the last question?
And that, everybody, is episode 5 in the books.
We rule. Thank you so much for coming along again. Friends, kind people, human beings, and aliens transmitting on other planets or receiving this transmission. Or in the future. Hey, future people. Yeah. Is Roger Deakins still alive?
I really hope he is. I hope he's really a cyborg. I hope he's half cyborg still making movies, man.
If anyone deserves it, it's him, the first cyborg. Or they should just do a full vision and give him an organic adamantium thing. Vibranium, rather. Thank you so much for coming along again, my friends. It's wonderful to have you here. Thank you for discussing Dune and all the nonsense that went along with it. We have such a good time. And we'll be back next week. Do we know what we're doing next week? I ask that every week. Not yet?
Yeah. We ask that every week. We don't know.
Well, you chose Dune. Maybe I'll have to think of something this time.
Yes, sir. Right. So, yeah, everybody, thank you so much for listening. And goddamn episode 5, dude.
I know. We're doing this for real. This is this isn't a joke anymore. This isn't for fun. Like many rappers always are saying, this ain't a game. It's not a game. Why is nothing a game for rappers? That's ridiculous. And then what's really funny is was it Mary J. Blige, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and Dr. Dre performed at the Super Bowl, and I was like, wow, sometimes it is a game. Blew my mind. But yeah, it's so much fun. Again, check us out on Instagram. Addy is Film Addict Reviews. I'm the Stitch Up with Riggs, and come down and have a chat. We're also on YouTube, Film Addict Podcast. We're on Accidentally Amazon Music and Spotify as well. So come check us out next week when we talk about some other stuff.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining in. Stay amazing, stay healthy, and this is only the beginning.
Yeah, that's how we're ending.